So, Hari Om to all the Atma Bandhus. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Vaniji. Appreciate it a lot. Let us start with the prayer. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So very happy to be here with more stories from the Upanishads. So we have heard some stories from the Chandogya and also Brihadaranyaka. I think the last session was about Brihadaranyaka. All wonderful stories. Why should we listen to these stories? Because they speak to us. Upanishads, as we know, they are the user manual for life. And along with the hardcore Vedanta, hardcore teachings, small stories are embedded in the Upanishads to again drive home the same point. So these stories are very, very, very ancient, as old as the hills, the stars. But they are not from ancient times. You know why? Because they are very, very relevant even for today. They are very, very contemporary. As we read or listen to these stories, we come to understand that society hasn't really changed much. The same old, the same old problems existed then, same problems exist now. The context may be different, but essentially the same. Why is that? Because we are ancient souls. We have been told that we are ancient souls, and we are also ancient mind. The mind has essentially not changed. The mind of man, the mind of the human being, has the same old vasanas, the same old problems, the same old baggage. So wherever you go in time and space, the mind essentially remains the same. The body is fresh, but the mind has been recycled. So we are all recycled bins. So recycling may be good for the environment, but definitely not for a mumukshu. The idea is to drop all the baggages, the vasanas, and all that, like a jnani. For him, the vasanas are not; they don't travel along with death and birth. They just resolve in a puff of smoke. They just go into the Panchabhutas. So no recycling anymore for us. That is why we are sitting here and listening to all these stories from the Upanishads, trying to take in the message and make it a living reality for us. And so these stories, as I was researching for this talk, these stories, they speak to us. It's like a one-on-one. Because we know that these Upanishads are apaurushaya, they have come straight from the source. So it has to come straight from the source. Where is the source? Who is the source? It's inside me. It's me itself. So it's basically me talking to me. When I look at it that way, really, really precious teachings, because I cannot hear myself because of all the baggage that I have. So it's coming from outside me, which is fantastic. So that is why the resonance is there between the stories and the one who is listening. So if there is any resonance today in this talk, it's because of the master. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam. It has come, it's flown from Sadashiva himself, and especially the understanding that we have gained from the Light of Self Foundation is via our mentor Sri Prabhuji. So if there is any dissonance, it's mine. Please forgive me. So let us listen to these stories and not just listen. Let us visualize the times. Let us imagine how it was during those times, and let us be transported. Right? So with this, let us dive into these stories. This is from the Chandogya Upanishad. And it's about a strange called of unheard called of upasana called the Samvarga Vidya or Samvarga Upasana. There are two main characters in this story. One is King Jaanashruthi. His name is King Jaanashruthi, and there is another person who is called Raikwa. Raikwa, the cart puller, very ordinary person. So in this story, we have just two people, main characters. One is a monarch, a kshatriya, and one is a Raikwa, the cart puller of indeterminate, lineage, right? So this Jaanashruthi was a very great king. He was loved by his people because he was a king of the province of Mahavrisha. His were rooted in dharma, and he always did a lot of dana. Dana dharma was his nature. 24/7 his kitchen used to work. Where in all he had established a lot of dharmashalas everywhere. Lot of dana dharma was going on. Food was anna santarpane was going on, and he would pride himself on the fact that people will come and stay here and eat the food that is provided by me. That was his. He was very large-hearted, no doubt, because to do that seva, one requires a large heart. But he also had a little ego about it. Not just ashramas and dharmashalas, he had built hospitals and schools, and he used to do a lot of yajnas and yagas with a pure heart. And he had the heart, he had the head and the heart and the hands, like our Prabhuji keeps saying. The head should think noble thoughts, the heart should feel and empathize with the people, which he did, and the hands to serve. And he had the means also. The universe had blessed him with a lot of means to do the serving also. So he was a Janapara Raja, he was pro public and Janapriya also. He was loved by them because of all these qualities. And so his fame knew no bounds. He was known all over the land. And he knew that he was a very responsible Raja. Not just he just didn't have the power, he was also very responsible about it. So he had all the merit, all these qualities that are being described about this Jaanashruthi indicate that this man was ripe for Brahmajnana. He was ripe for Brahmajnana. The only thing he lacked was a guru. So all he had to go by was his own, self-introspection was what he would do. So every night he would do that, introspection. Because it's very necessary to talk to ourselves also. We keep talking a lot to everyone. Talking to oneself is most important. That is in the introspect manner. What did I do wrong? What did I do correctly? What should be done better? All these work he used to have. He would do every night. So despite all these, wonderful qualities and the wonderful acts through the day, Jaanashruthi was a little restless. He did not feel full. He did not feel complete. So every day during introspection in the night, he would feel something is lacking in me. Something is lacking in me. So one night, it was scorching summer, and one night it was very hot inside. Though it was a palace which has high ceiling and huge windows, but still he went out and he slept on the terrace. He slept on the terrace to beat the heat, and then he used to sleep on the terrace to beat the heat. And one night, while he was just resting on his back, looking at the stars above, two swans were flying towards the palace. Two swans were flying towards the palace, and they came right above him. Two swans, and one of those, the Upanishad says that these swans could be some rishis or sages who had come to give a message to this very deserving person who was ripe for Brahmajnana. So one of the swans, one swan flew directly above this king Jaanashruthi. The other swan, which was slightly behind, he shouted at this swan. He said, "Oh, Bhallaksha." Bhalla means a spear. Aksha means eyes. So the one with sharp eyes. Okay, that was the name of the swan which was flying over Jaanashruthi. So the other swan is very sarcastically telling, oh, you Bhallaksha, the one with great sight, can't you see that this monarch, Samrat, is sleeping below you? How dare you fly above him? You know, it is not done because his glory is so great that the fire, the tejas from him will scorch you. If you fly above him, his tejas will scorch and singe your wings. You know, his divine jyoti stretches to all the heavens and toward the sky. One should not trespass the space of such Mahapurushas. That was the swan which was behind, told this fellow who was flying on top of Jaanashruthi. So what did this Bhallaksha say? He said, Jaanashruthi. Who is this Jaanashruthi? I don't know of any Jaanashruthi. What? Is his fame even greater than Raikwa the cart puller? This is what the swan which was in front said. Who is the Jaanashruthi? Is he bigger than Raikwa the cart puller? The Raikwa the cart puller, this Jaanashruthi is nothing before him. So the other one asked, oh, who is this Raikwa? Nobody has heard of him, but everyone has heard of Jaanashruthi. So this swan said, Raikwa is a cart puller. He pulls a cart for a living. Maybe he rents it out to people who want to transport their goods or people who want to sell their vegetables or wares or whatever. So he's a cart puller. And the swan is continuing about the greatness of this Raikwa, the cart puller. Whatever good work is done by anyone, the credit goes to Raikwa. That is what the swan says. Whatever good that anyone does, the credit goes to Raikwa. What does it mean? It means, for example, says the swan, in a game of dice, suppose 4 is the highest number. Okay, there are 4 faces. 1, 2, 3, 4 are the numbers that you can get when you play dice. So, when you get 4, you can move. If you are playing, Ludo or Pagade, if you get 4, you can move 4 places. But if you get 1, you move only 1 place. If you get 2, only 2 places. With 4, you are swallowing up 1, 2, and 3. Right? That is what, that all the rate of 1, 2, and 3 goes to 4. That is the meaning of saying all the good work done is going to Raikwa. All the lower tosses go to the highest toss. So this Raikwa is like that. He will take the credit for everything. Okay? And so, yeah, more about this later. A lot of things are there. All the virtues that people do anywhere are included in this virtue, in this person called Raikwa. That is what this means. This person called Raikwa has all the virtues. So, he's the highest toss. His virtue is like an ocean. It swallows up all the dribbles and rivulets and, all the little springs. Everything is swallowed up by this ocean called Raikwa. That is how his virtue is. So all these were this one is going on and on about this Raikwa. And finally he says, the one who knows what Raikwa knows becomes Raikwa. Okay, so this is what Jaanashruthi is listening to all this with amazement. One who knows what Raikwa knows becomes a Raikwa. And who is this Raikwa? He lives under a cart. All the good deeds of this king, what you're talking about, this Jaanashruthi, belongs to Raikwa. Now, and this king's stages getting subdued under this Raikwa. So saying so, these 2 swans who could well be sages, they flew away. Then Jaanashruthi heard this conversation and he was more distressed. He was amazed and he was distressed. He was disturbed. I thought I was a great fellow who doing all this service to all these people. There was no match for me. And here is a mere cart puller, whatever he is, and he's greater than me. How is this even possible? He was totally distressed. And he felt bad because he was criticized. His great fame was reduced to nothing because it belongs to Raikwa, whom he hasn't even seen, hasn't even heard of. Immediately his self-esteem came down. And then he was engulfed with the question, who is this Raikwa? Who is this Raikwa? He couldn't sleep. And he had a very restless night. The next morning, what happens for a Maharaja? They are woken up to Bhopara. All the attendants will come and say, Raja Adi Raja, Raja Martanda, Bhoparak, Bhoparak. So the next morning also, one attendant came and started saying this Bhoparak. This Jaanashruthi was so irritated. He said, stop it. I don't want this Bhoparak. Go and give that Bhoparak to this Raikwa. The attendant is aghast. He said, what is this Raikwa? Who is this Raikwa? So Maharaja says, go and find this Raikwa immediately. Wherever he is, I want him to be here. I want to meet him. I want to know more about this Raikwa. I believe he is a Mahatman. So, and he lives under a card. That's all I know about this Raikwa. He's a Mahatma and he lives under a card. Go and find this Raikwa for me. So the attendant, his name was Kshatta. He said, who is this Raikwa, my dear master? You are going and asking me to go search for him. And so he says, the king simply repeated what the swan has said. Just like the dice, which has got the highest toss of 4, this Raikwa is like the highest toss of 4. You go and find him. Very, very, very cryptic. Now we have to see this. The way these ancient people spoke also was very cryptic. Whoever speaks like that now, right? It's where all we try to dumb it down. But these are very cryptic messages. So unless it is decoded by the masters like Shankara Bhashya and other Bhashyakaras, very, very difficult to understand what is being said. All right. So now we know that the greatest toss is he is the one fellow with the highest virtues. And so go and find this Raikwa. And so the Kshatta, the attendant, went in search of Raikwa. In all the cities and towns of this Maharshava, this kingdom of Jaanashruthi, he went and searched. He was not found. He couldn't find anybody who pulled a cart in the description matching a cart puller. He couldn't find, and he came and told the king, I couldn't find Raikwa. So Jaanashruthi said, where did you look for him? Tell me. I went to this city, I went to that city, I went to this town. Then Jaanashruthi said, all the villages I searched. Jaanashruthi said, such a jnani called like Raikwa, why will he stay amidst people? He is not going to stay here, okay? You have to, I'm sure he's a jnani, he seeks solitude. Go and look for places where, in isolated places, you are sure to find him. And so this attendant, he followed the advice of the king and he went and started searching for him in isolated places. Then finally, in one corner of a very, very Suna, Nirjan Pradesh, he found this Raikwa, the cart puller. He found someone sitting under a cart. And this man was very, very shabby to look at. And he seemed to have scabies. You know what is scabies? A skin disease. And he was like, very dirty, very shabby, haggard looking man. He was scratching his body. But he was sitting under a cart, so that matched. And so this attendant went and asked, Sir, are you Raikwa? And he said, yes, people call me Raikwa. Okay, he was very relieved. And he asked the villagers, why is this haggard looking, man who's so, why does he's so shabby? Why is he so famous? And so the villagers told him, Raikwa is famous because he knows the Samvarga Vidya. What is Samvarga Vidya? We will come to know. And so this attendant ran and told the Maharaja, I have found your Raikwa for you. He's famous because he knows the Samvarga Vidya. Immediately the king said, yes, I want to go and meet this fellow. And then immediately he called all his paraphernalia, his attendants. He climbed his horse. And some more elephants he took with him and started going towards him. And then he stopped. He said, oh, such a great person. I cannot go empty-handed. Okay. He's a great jnani. How to approach this fellow? And so he asked the mantris, how should I go and meet this fellow? What should I take for him? So the ministers, wise people, they gave the solution from the Upanishads, from the Vedas. They said, from the scriptures, they said, the Shastras say that there are only 2-3 ways, from which you can attain a Vidya. One, you can give a lot of money. One who has a lot of money can attain Vidya. And one who is sharp-witted can attain the Vidya. And one who is well-versed in the Vedas, someone who is dear to one, or someone who can impart some other knowledge in return, the Vidya can be imparted to these people. There is some uh, Sanskrit shloka is also given there, which says this, but the second shloka is simpler. We'll go through that. Guru Shushrooshaya Vidya Pushkalena Dhanena Va Athava Vidyaya Vidya Chaturthi Na Upalabhyate. There are only 3 ways through which one can attain the Vidya. Guru Shushrooshaya. By doing seva or Shushrusha to the Guru will be pleased and he will give you Vidya in return. Another way is Pushkalena Dhanenava. You give that Guru lot of money. Then he might be pleased with you and he might impart knowledge. The third option is Vidyaya Vidya. If you know something that the Guru doesn't know, if you teach him something that he doesn't know, then he has to teach you his Vidya in return. Na chaturthi upalabhyate. There is no other fourth option. So these were the options given by these mantris to Jaanashruthi. Okay. So Jaanashruthi considered his options. I cannot do Guru Shushrusha. I cannot do Seva because I'm a king. I have got a lot of duties through the day. I cannot leave my kingdom and go to the forest and live with this Raikwa. So that is out. And then Vidyena. What can I teach this Raikwa who knows everything? What else can I teach him? Kaspinnu bhagavo vijnate sarvamidam vijnatam bhavati. That means in Mundaka Upanishad it said, how can you teach something to someone who knows everything? That's all. So that is also not happened. So the only option left with Raikwa, with Jaanashruthi was, I can give him a lot of money. I'm a king. I got a lot of resources, and this is the only way I can reach this man. That was his idea, which is correct. So immeasurable riches to Raikwa. So he took with him, the Jaanashruthi, 600 cows, gold coins, and a chariot. This is what he took, and he went to Raikwa. And he prostrated before this man, this very, very haggard, shabby-looking person. And he says, Bhagavan, please take all this and impart to me the knowledge of Samvarga. Tell me about this Samvarga Upasana. Because I have heard that through Samvarga Upasana, one can attain Atma Jnana. So what did Raikwa do? Was he very happy with the riches? Did he grab it all and say, okay, come, let us become your Guru Shishya? No. Raikwa was very disdainful of this Jaanashruthi. He said, Oh Shudra, take your riches and go away. So he's addressing this, the great king, the Kshatriya, as a Shudra. He said, Oh Shudra, take your riches and go. So Jaanashruthi went back, very, very unhappy, of course, with a heavy heart. And then he went back next day with 1,000 cows. He had thought the entire night again. He thought, what else can I give this man? What else can I offer him? Whatever I have, I can offer him. And so he went with 1,000 cows, some more gold, and he went with a chariot. And especially, he took his daughter. And he went to Raikwa and said, Maharaj, please, I have brought my daughter also. Please accept. I'll give her in marriage to you. Please accept her and give me the Vidya. And so what did Raikwa say? O Shudra, so be it. I'll impart you with that Vidya. And so that village was called as Raikwa Parana. He gave the Raja gave him the village also. Raikwa, wherever he lived, that village also was bestowed to the Guru Raikwa, which was later known as Raikwa Parana. And so Raikwa imparted the Vidya of Samvarga Vidya to Jaanashruthi. Samvarga Vidya is something which helps you to absorb everything. It's an all-absorbent meditation. Okay. So let us see what other things that Raikwa gave the knowledge of Samvarga Vidya to Jaanashruthi. Let us see what he did. A couple of shlokas to understand get a feel of what it is. How to enjoy the world without owning anything. This is Samvarga Vidya. How to enjoy the objects of the world without owning anything. That is why the Raikwa was sitting under a cart and scratching himself, but still very content. He was not bothered about anything. Right. So this is what Raikwa taught Jaanashruthi by the upasana of Vayu and Prana. First is the upasana of Vayu. So in Chandogya 4.3.1, Raikwa said, the air or Vayu swallows everything. When fire is extinguished, it disappears into air. When fire is extinguished, it disappears into air. It just goes. Where? It goes into air. When the sun sets, it disappears into air. Though we know scientifically that's not true, but it appears to disappear into air. And when the moon sets, that also disappears into air. When the water dries up, it disappears into air. And the air, that means the cosmic air or the cosmic wind, swallows all this. And this is the worship of the forces of nature, Adi Daivika. This is how you do the upasana of Vayu. This is the Vayu upasana. And the importance of the Vayu upasana is that it is supreme. Among all the Panchabhutas, the Vayu is supreme because it swallows up the lower. Agni, it swallows the sun, the moon, everything, the water also, it swallows up in a manner of speaking. The more explanation comes later. And the second upasana that Raikwa bestows on this Jaanashruthi is the Adhyatmika. This is Adi Daivika, forces of nature. Adhyatmika is what's happening inside me. Inside me, that same Vayu is Prana. It concerns, the next upasana is worship of the concerning the body. The Prana swallows. What? When a person sleeps, all the other senses are swallowed by Prana. Only the Prana is operating. All the other sense organs are subdued completely. The mind including are subdued into the Prana. Only the Prana is operating. So in the Bhasha of the Upanishad, the Prana is swallowing all the other senses including the mind. Thus, Vayu outside and Prana inside, they swallow everything. And so this is the worship of the Panchendriyas. So Raikwa is teaching Jaanashruthi how to do upasana of the cosmic form outside and the microcosm inside, macrocosm and micro. So Vayu and Prana, they are not left alone. Where do they go? The Vayu and Prana are swallowed by the Virat. Where do they appear? Vayu and Prana. They appear in the Virat. Virat is the entire cosmos, the Jagat. They Vayu and Prana also not the ultimate. They are swallowed by the Virat. The first five devatas, that is the Vayu, Agni, Surya, Chandra and Jala. And the second five, which are Prana, Vak, Chakshu, Karna, Manas. So outside five and inside five, together they are 10 and they are the highest toss. They are called the Krita. If you have mastered these 5 outside and 5 inside you, then you have mastered the macrocosm and the microcosm. It is what the Upanishad says. The Krita, the highest toss, is nothing but the Virat. When you understand the Panchabhutas outside you and the Panchabhutas inside you, it means you have understood Virat. You have conquered Virat. The Virat, the outer, the entire Jagat, is all pervasive. And here the Virat has become the highest toss and it consumes everything. Everything is the food for the Virat. It consumes all the lower tosses. Even the Vayu and the Prana, they go inside the Virat, consumed by the Virat. It encompasses everything. Only by that Virat, everything is seen. He who knows this Virat becomes Virat himself. This person becomes all pervasive and everything becomes his food. This is the teaching by Raikwa. Very, very cryptic, which we shall decode, of course. So, that is what Raikwa is teaching Jaanashruthi. So, the Virat in turn subsides in Brahman. Vayu and Prana subside in Virat, and the Virat subsides in Brahman. So, all that remains ultimately, now the Brahman is the highest toss, right? All that remains is Brahman without Prapancha. This is the highest teaching. The entire creation is a complex instrument that is carrying out its work at the behest of this spirit called Brahman. So, this is the point. What is it that makes the universe rotate or revolve in this manner? This is, here it is referred to as the cosmic wind, okay, that blows, it is compelling all the planets, all the dharma, the rhythm is going around in this, in the universe because of this cosmic spirit. And in the Taittiriya, it is very clearly more has said about how this Brahman rules over the devatas, all the Vayu, Agni, and all the Panchabhutas, and all this prana and all the senses. It says in the Taittiriya that because of the fear of this cosmic Purusha, cosmic being, the cosmic Brahman, because of the fear, the sun is, doing this. Because of fear, out of the fear of Brahman, the moon is this. Because of fear of Brahman, the planets are going on in their orbits, and all the devatas are doing their work. The wind blows, and the water cools, and the Agni fire burns, and all this. Everything is controlled by Brahman. This is what is the ultimate knowledge. That is the Brahman is the ultimate, right? This is the Raikwa's teaching. And then apart from this, he said, so he who sees this truth becomes a seer. To him, nothing is wanting, and he becomes the enjoyer of things. He who sees this truth becomes a seer. To him, nothing is wanting. This is Samvarga Vidya. What did we start with? Samvarga Vidya is that Vidya through which you can enjoy everything without possessing it. So when you know Brahman, you don't want anything, and you become the enjoyer of things. When Raikwa continued, he gave Jaanashruthi some more advice how to give charity, because Jaanashruthi was a great giver. He did a lot of charity, right? So he said, give without pride or vanity. That means Jaanashruthi so far was giving with a lot of pride. I'm giving, I'm the giver. He had that pride. So how to do charity? This is called Sattvika Dana, isn't it? In the Bhagavadgita also, Lord Krishna says, there is Tamasic Dana, when you give things which you don't want. Which you yourself don't want, you give. And then there is Rajasic Dana, because you give because you want something in return. And there is Sattvik Dana, where you just give for the pleasure of giving. So this is the best. The Sattvik Dana, of course, is the best dana. So give charity without pride or vanity. And then give generously. Don't hold back. I can give only so much. Give generously without egotism. This is, of course, being told to a king who has got plenty of resources to give generously. And without the giver, I'm the giver mentality, you give. Give freely. Give freely. Without expectation. Not with an aim to get fame and recognition and awards and medals. No. Give freely without expectation. And then he says, give not as something that is yours, but as something which you give by the Spirit, because it is not mine, It is just given to me by Brahman, I'm giving it to you. That should be the attitude. I am the custodian. Whatever was with me till such time. Now, because I was a custodian, now I have to part with it. It's yours. I am not the owner of it. I am the custodian. That should be the attitude, say the masters, with everything that we possess, everything that we think is ours. Our house, our possessions, our children, everything. We are merely custodians. We do not own anything. For now, God has said, okay, here, take this. I have given you so much on your plate. Take this, take care of it for me. That is what the attitude has to be with every possession that we have. The moment ownership creeps in, we're in trouble, obviously. We fear losing it, fear creeps in. The moment ownership comes in, fear of losing it comes in. Whereas when you are looking at it, taking care of something as a custodian, you are very, very careful because it doesn't belong to me. You have borrowed a plate from your neighbor. You have borrowed bone china crockery from your neighbor because some guests are coming. You be very careful how you handle it because you have to return it, right? So a lot of responsibility when you are a custodian and you take care of it very carefully and with great care, right? So this is all the teaching by Raikwa. Very, very, very cryptic, isn't it? So now we need to unpack this story. How shall we do that? If Vaniji and Vasuji can unmute everyone, we can take some questions. There are some questions where people can volunteer with answers. Okay. First question. All charitable acts belong to Raikwa. What does it mean? We have gone through this, but still, to recall, what does it mean? Those two swans which are flying above Jaanashruthi, they said, all the charitable acts belong to Raikwa. What does it mean? Anyone? What is the import of this particular statement?
You have all been unmuted, so you can, you're given the access to the microphone, you can unmute and ask.
Tell. All
Speak.
Yes, you may please speak. Okay. This merely means that everything is enabled by Brahma. Is there anything that I can do by myself? Any act of charity belongs to Brahman. That's it. Sarvadeva namaskaraha keshavam pratigacchati. Isn't it? That's what Lord Krishna says in that is what is said about propitiating all the devas. You may do namaskara to Shiva or to Ganesha or to Subramanya or to Devi, but it goes to Keshava. Or it can go to Paramashiva, whatever you feel is the Paramatma. It goes to Paramatma. Yeah. Anyone wants to say something? And in the Bhagavadgita, again Krishna says, Ye api anya devata bhaktya yajante te me mameva yajanti, he says. Those who are devotees of other gods, when you worship other gods, you are worshipping me only because everything has to be enabled through me. You might go to Shani temple on a Saturday and pray for Shani, please do this for me and all that. But Shani can do nothing unless Krishna says, okay, tatas to do it. Krishna or Shiva or whoever is your ultimate goddess. Unless Bhagavan says tatastu, unless Ishvara says tatastu, Shani cannot do anything. Or Buddha cannot do anything. Or Guru cannot do anything. All the planets are adhina of Bhagavan.
So, Purnima, it just means that without God's grace, nothing really is possible. And He is the giver as well as the possessor. And that is how we can gain the strength from Him.
Absolutely. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Malati. Thank you so much. That is exactly what it is. Bhagavan is enabling everything through me. Okay? I can do nothing. Trinamapi na chalati tena vina. So everything belongs to the glory of everything. In the Vibhuti Yoga, also Bhagavan says, all the glories that you see around you is me. That is why one should not be jealous also when you see some other talented person, maybe your competitor, that fellow is talented, means the Bhagavan's Vibhuti is shining through that person. It's not about the person at all. It's about Bhagavan's Vibhuti. Right? So this is the, yes, please, whoever it is, VA.
Bhagavan says one God with many names. So finally, he is the only one God is Paramatma or
Yes.
Sri Krishna.
Absolutely. Yes. Sarvadeva namaskaraha keshavam pratigachati. Ultimately, it goes to him alone. Yes, perfect. That's what it is. So, one cannot claim any doership here. I'm not doing anything. I'm nothing. I'm Truna. And I cannot move without the blessings of Bhagavan, like Malati ji said. Okay. So, that is what it is. All charitable acts belong to Raikwa, means this. Then, so why did Raikwa address Jaanashruthi as a Shudra? Interesting question. Anyone? Why did he call him? Yes, yes, please.
Because of greedy, he is giving so much of money and other things. Then you want to buy him, so he say Shudra.
He wants to buy Raikwa.
No, by bribing.
Bribe. He wants to bribe him. Okay. But it's allowed by this one only, no? Allowed by Shastras. You can give Guru a lot of money and you can take Vidya from him. Yeah, but that is, yes, Raikwa can say anything he wants, If he wants to make a point, he said, yes, he called him a Shudra.
That means when you give, you cannot have anything in your mind.
Yes.
In return.
Correct. Very true. Very true. When you give just that, yes, Preeti
Yeah, he was trying to say that you are only a receiver and you are giving what you are receiving. So you are not you're only a custodian. You're not really the owner of whatever you're distributing.
Very good. Very nice. Very nice. Yes. So the previous point has been brought here. So Jaanashruthi was giving with the sense of I'm giving it. So yeah, he didn't have that I'm the custodian. Probably he did not have that attitude. So all these are very valid points, of course. But in the explanation of the Upanishad, the Bhashya, one who is drowning in sorrow is called a Shudra. See, Shotyana dravayati iti Shudraha, it is said. Jaanashruthi was an unhappy man. So anybody who is unhappy is a Shudra. Look at the definition of a Shudra. Why? Because the nature of every person is Satchid Ananda. All of us are Ananda Swarupas. So if I don't reflect that Ananda, I am a Shudra. I don't know Brahman. That is what the Upanishad says. One who is drowning in sorrow is a Shudra. Yeah. And then one more explanation. One who has no Atma Vidya is called a Shudra. Same thing. One who has no Atma Vidya is called a Shudra. So 99% of the people fall into this category, irrespective of where I am born, in which family I am born, what is my education, what is my qualification, whatever I say on my CV. I could well be a Shudra if I do not have Atma Jnana. Look at the definition of a Shudra in the Upanishads. And what have we reduced it to now in our contemporary times? All wrong things we understand about it, isn't it? So this is what a Shudra is. One who is sorrowful. Whenever I am sorrowful, I am a Shudra. Whenever I am expressing happiness, I am expressing the happiness of Brahman, Ananda. Right? So this is the definition of a Shudra in this Upanishad, in the scriptures. Okay, one more question. Why should one do dana and dharma? This is very simple. All of us can answer that, I'm sure. Why should I do dana and dharma? Why?
Just to get happiness.
Okay.
For
With res-
Lokahitaya, for
Ah,
Lokahitaya,
very good, very good. So with respect to Vedanta and to acquiring Brahma Jnana, one has to do dana dharma for lokahita, yes, number one. For happiness, not only for myself, for others who receive the dana, number two, very good. And basically, one should do dana dharma because it leads to chitta shuddhi. It purifies my heart and mind. The more and more I give, I become more and more pure. The more pure I am more eligible for Atma Jnana. That is what it is. Because the chitta mala has gone. The impurity from the mind has gone. I can receive the jnana in a more beautiful, I can become a beautiful channel for jnana to flow. That is the idea of one doing dana and dharma. So whenever I give something, I should be aware that I am cleansing. This is for my chitta shuddhi, I am doing it. Okay, that is not a selfish desire. To want chitta shuddhi is not a selfish desire. It is very, very important qualification for receiving jnana. Okay. So another important question is, how should one do dana and dharma? Raikwa has given a lot of points, but if you can add to it, how should one do dana and dharma? With what attitude?
With the
Yes.
sattvic attitude.
Sattvic attitude. Yes. There is one particular word, phrase that is given in the Gita for this. Anyone can recall that? How should do dana and dharma? How should one do yajna?
Without the feeling of
idam
doership.
mama.
Yes.
Idam mama.
Idam namama. Very good. Without the feeling of doership. And idam namama namama. One has to do dana dharma in the spirit of yajna. It is not just giving, It has to be a yajna bhava has to come with it. What is this yajna bhava? Idam namam. This is not mine. Whenever Indraya swaha, Indraya idam namama, if this belongs to you, it no longer belongs to me. Every moment this has to be reiterated. Yajna bhava. This doesn't belong to me. And then, so again Bhagavan says in the Gita, Yajnartharth karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. If I do not do dana dharma in the spirit of yajna, this loka, this prapancha becomes a bandhana, it becomes a bondage. So work has to be done as a yajna to the Supreme Lord. Even though you might be giving to Indra or the other deities, Agniya Swaha, it goes to Keshava, of course. We know that. Now it goes ultimately to Brahman. Brahmarpanam, Brahma Havihi, everything goes to Brahman only. If I don't understand that, see, that's the truth. But I might not know. So without knowing that, if I do all this dana, dharma, yajna, etc., again I am caught in bondage of the material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, tadartham karma kaunteya, mukta sangas samachara. So do your prescribed duties. See, not just about the dana and dharma and the puja and the rituals. The duties that we have in everyday life, that also has to be done with the yajna bhava. I am not doing this, I am the custodian, idam namama. All that has to be in the mind when I'm even cooking and serving food to my people at home. So, yajnartham karmanaha. You have to do it. And mukta sangas samachara, without being attached to the results, do with yajna bhava. Now, about this yajna bhava, our mentor Sri Prabhuji has given beautiful guidelines. Okay, I'll just share a few of this. How to do yajna bhava? I can say, look, I don't know. Idam namama, I cannot say idam namama. I don't know how to do it. So, Prabhuji says, first and foremost, establish a divine connection. We all do some sort of puja, some sort of ritual. Sometimes in a hurry, we just light a lamp and go off. Sometimes we just do some agarbatti and go away. Sometimes simply we just do this and go. But unless I establish a divine connection with God, nothing will make sense. That bhava has to come inside me. What sort of connection? I might look at God as the father or a mother, as a sakha, as a friend, as a whatever. There are so many examples in our Puranas of how devotees have a connection with God. No, the gopis had a different relationship with God. The Bhakta, the Mirabai had a different relationship, and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had, my divine mother kind of relationship. Right? In our own little way, we can look at God as whatever I want in my life. Maybe as a friend, which is very beautiful, so that there is no, barrier. You can tell a friend anything. So establish a divine connection is the one tip that Prabhuji gives. Another Prabhuji says is expand your heart while you are doing your dana, dharma, yajna, yaga, worship, duty in the home. Expand your heart. How? Spontaneously, like how when a mother thinks of her child, just thinks of the child, her heart expands. Spontaneously, the mother's heart expands. That has to be the feeling when I'm doing dana and dharma, expansion of the heart. And the sankalpa when I'm doing dana dharma should be very, very, very simple. God, we always have a sankalpa while we are doing some dana or dharma. I want this, so I'm doing dana dharma. See, not all the yagnas are some of them are kamya also. We want something, so we do, which is perfectly valid. We are all pamaras. We are all human beings when we have some desires. But even the desires have to be very, very, very fine and very, very, very reasonable. Sankalpa should be very, very simple. Ultimate sankalpa is yes, Atmano Mokshartham Jagadhita. I want self-knowledge and I want to serve the world. That is the best sankalpa one can do while giving yajna. But little sankalpas, let my child, suppose someone is very sick in the house, we will do, let that person become all right. Very proper sankalpa, nothing wrong at all to ask God for physical health, physical prosperity, nothing wrong, no problem. But keep it simple, don't be unreasonable, is what Prabhuji says. Do not ask like a bhikshuka. Do not beg God, give me this. Because the universe understands, the universe doesn't understand lack, understands only abundance. Okay, the universe understands only abundance. So when I ask like a bhikshuka, it will say, okay, this person is lacking something, give him more lack. Very scary. So the Tathastu Devatas apparently are sitting and saying, whatever comes in my head, Tathastu. May that happen. May it be so. Tathastu. So one has to be very, very, very careful with the attitude one has at every point of time. Don't be a bhukshaka. Don't be a bhikshuka. Just give with reference, give with love, with an expanded heart. And do not have any doubt. Oh, I'm giving something, God knows whether it will go to God or where. Sometimes that happens, when we give some charity, we give something to an NGO, we give, but there is some doubt. God knows how it will be used. Pata nahi what they will do. They will keep it for themselves or it will go to the charity which is intended. All these doubts we will have. Best is not to have any doubts. Don't have any. Just give and forget. Neki kar kuve mein dal. In Hindi it is said. Do something good and drop it there and then. Finish. Okay. And then whatever I ask of the Divine Mother, whatever I ask of the universe, it will be done. If not now, some other lifetime. Yeah, but it will come. So be very careful. Don't expect immediate results of your dana dharma. No expectation at all. That is the basic, bottom line. So Atmano Mokshartam Jagadhitaya. These are the things that one has to remember while doing yajna. This is called the yajna bhava. And this is how one has to do karma. And any little puja ritual, all this has to be done in this manner. Okay. Yeah, one more insight from the story is how to receive praise and criticism. How did Jaanashruthi react when he heard the swan saying that this Raikwa is greater than you, what happened to him? Jaanashruthi. Was he very happy to hear that somebody was greater than him?
No.
No, he was not happy. So that is also not the sign of a mature seeker. We are all mumukshu. See, Raikwa was seeking Brahmadhyana, but there was some lacuna in him. One was he was not equanimous to criticism and praise. He loved it when people came and said, "Bho Parak, you are the greatest, you are the greatest." He was very happy. But then the next morning when that fellow came and said, "Bho Parak," he said, "No, stop it. I am not great ante." That we had. Some Raikwa, he is greater. So, Tulya Ninda Stutir Mauni. That is what Krishna says in the Gita. Ninda and Stuti, you have to be Tulya. You have to be balanced in both Tulya and Stuti. In Ninda and Stuti, the Mauni is always balanced. He doesn't care for either. He just listens from one ear. Probably he doesn't even listen. He just takes it. He just is it. So that is a Stita Prajna Lakshana. So that also we need to keep in mind. Do I get elated when someone praises me? Do I get dejected when someone criticizes me? Or am I able to take both with equanimity? Why? We are all mumukshus. We all want Atmajnana. So these are all the tips that we can get from this story. More. Yes. Why was Jaanashruthi restless despite his fame and fortune? Why was he restless, Jaanashruthi, despite his fame and fortune? What did we understand from the story?
Accepting the wealth.
Pardon?
Accepting wealth from the Raja.
No. I'm not talking of Raikwa. I'm talking of the Raja himself. He was not happy. Every night he went he introspected, he went to bed, but still he was restless. He had a lot of fame, he had a lot of fortune, yet he was restless. Why? Because he was a very sattvic person. Yes,
He
carry
was
on.
feeling incomplete. He was
Yes.
feeling incomplete.
Correct. He was
without the knowledge. Without the
yes,
self.
correct. Perfectly said. So he was a very sattvic person. He was doing all the right things. And he was eligible for Atmajnana, but still do not stop at sattva. Sattva is not the last stop. Okay. That will also not give complete happiness. Everything, all these three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, they're all called as shackles. You know, in the scriptures, they call these things as shackles. They bind us. All the gunas bind us. They are shackles. Tamas is a iron shackle. It's very, very hard to get out of the shackles of tamas. Lot of push is necessary. Inertia is very hard to come over. And then there is rajas. It is called a silver shackle. It's good. It makes you up and about. You do things, you achieve things. Fantastic. But sattva is also a shackle. It's a golden shackle because you can get into a comfort zone. You can get into you feel nice about things. People are praising you. You are happy. You know, people don't want to come out of the comfort zone. But you have to come out of the comfort zone, which the swan did. The swan said, "You are not the greatest." So immediately Jaanashruthi had to come out of his comfort zone and wonder, what am I doing wrong? That was the introspection he had to do. Okay. This is an interesting one. Why did Raikwa accept Jaanashruthi as his disciple finally? Did this Raikwa fall in love with the princess or what? What do you think? Why do you think Raikwa accept, when the princess, the Jaanashruthi, second time he went with his daughter?
He gave up the most valuable gift, like
Very
he-
beautifully. Yes, Suma. Very, very, very beautifully. You have got the point right there. Because Jaanashruthi was willing to stake everything for the sake of Vidya, including his daughter. Very well said. Thank you, Suma. He was willing to stake everything, including his daughter. Who will give the daughter? Did the daughter like it or not? Let us not go there because it is not mentioned. I don't know. Maybe if she was a daughter of this great Jaanashruthi who wanted Brahma Vidya, maybe should have said, yes, let my father become a Brahmajnani. I am willing to sacrifice myself. Probably. I don't know. So what can we offer as Guru Dakshina? This is the next question. After we, what can we offer as Guru Dakshina? Now we also go to the Guru. We also give whatever we, in our capacity, we give the Guru Dakshina. But according to the scriptures, what should be offered as a Guru Dakshina? Just it's a extension of the previous question.
Total surrender to the Guru.
Yes, it is total surrender to the Guru. Of course, we have to do. That is mentally.
Spreading gnana all over again. Whatever
Yes.
you have learned from the Guru, give
Very
it to
good.
the others again.
That is
will
also
be
wonderful. Guru
right.
Dakshina. Yes,
No?
very good. Yes, very good. But materially, what can you offer to the Guru? Materially, it is said. Yes, Padmaja. Somebody also say something. What?
Anything as money or amount or fee, whatever. All this is Guru Dakshina only.
Yes. So in
As
this,
per-
yes, in this
As per
specific
the
case,
capacity.
as per the capacity, as per one's maximum capacity, one has to give. That's what maximum capacity of Jaanashruthi was. Apart from all the material things, he gave his daughter. Yes, become a jnani yourself. That is the best guru. Any guru will be extremely thrilled when the disciple becomes a jnani. Definitely, there is no doubt about it. So whatever, but at this stage, we can give whatever is in our capacity. All right. So one more. How can we recognize a Jnanin? This Raikwa, the shabby fellow who had scabies and he was scratching himself. So how do you recognize a Gnani? When a Gnani comes, when a beggar comes in front of you, we might not know. We might be a Gnani for all you know. So how do we recognize a Gnani? Again in the Bhagavadgita, Bhagavan tells us what is the Lakshana of a Gnani?
Bhakti.
Bhakti, okay? One should follow Guru Vakya and keep practicing whatever we learn from Guru. Yes, that is the Guru Dakshina we are still talking about. Perfectly said, Chandra Kumari. Yes, Jai Shri Ji.
He is a Sthita Prajna.
The Jnani is a
We
Sthita
can't
Prajna.
recognize, but we can't recognize that.
We cannot recognize. No, okay, let me put the question this way. Can we recognize a Jnani by his birth? By his status in society?
No.
No, not at all. So, a Jnani can be recognized by Guna, not by Jati, not by Karma also, because in the Gita, Krishna says, what does he say? Chaturvarna Maya Sushtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. All the four varnas are because of Guna and Karma. But here, Jnani is, this thing is only
He has
by
to
Guna.
be a Brahmanishta, Brahmavarishta.
Brahmashotri. Yeah.
Brahmashotri.
Yeah. Ajnani is a Brahmanishta. We can
But
stop
then,
it.
Purnima, but then whatever karma he does, it is because of Guna only. So why is that they are both are not connected?
Yeah. That's the karma here I meant was he was a cart puller. That kind of, he had his karma as a for a living. The karma he was doing was he was pulling a cart. So you
That is
cannot recognize.
more like an occupation, not by jati, not by occupation.
Not by jati, not by occupation. Only by guna you can recognize a jnani. So the moment Jaanashruthi went to this Raikwa and Raikwa started talking to him, everything is clear. That's why Raikwa was considered as a jnani. He had this now the ultimate question, what is this Samvarga Vidya? What is this Samvarga Vidya? We already said, now it's time already. Samvarga Vidya is that Vidya by which You can enjoy everything without owning anything physically. That is the whole point of this story of Jaanashruthi and Raikwa. All of us need to learn this Samvarga Vidya. How? In the Ishavasya Upanishad, one beautiful line in the very first shloka mantra says, Tena tyaktena bhunjita. Drop it and enjoy. Tyaktena, drop it. Tena, that. Bhunjita, enjoy. What should I drop to enjoy? What should I drop to enjoy the world? I have to drop ajnana. What is the Mula Ajnana? The Mula Ajnana is not knowing my real nature, number one. Number two, looking for happiness from the outside world. That is my Mula Ajnana. Everything is inside me, but I look for it outside. I am the Sachidananda Swarupa, but I go on looking at other things for enjoyment, outside the world for enjoyment. And I have known from my birth that I cannot get happiness from the world. So this is a Samvarga Vidya that I have to learn. So quickly, to expand on this Samvarga Vidya, how do we think of the world? This is me and there's the world. And I need to possess things by effort. Roti, kapda, makan, everything I have to, and plus I have to get from the world. That is how I think of it. We are often pulled by the objects of the senses. But can I pull anything towards me? I cannot pull anything towards me. I have to go and make an effort to get it. So, in short, I am a slave of the object of the world, and I allow them to lord over me. What is happening here is, in the Samvarga Vidya, what happens when I get an object is the mind becomes silent, thoda. The consciousness, which is operating through the mind and the sense organs, it moves out. When I see a beautiful object, say, okay, when I see a cup of coffee, the aroma, it attracts me. And my conscience is pulled towards it and it deposited in that coffee. And when I get that coffee, when I drink it, the conscience has gone back to its source and it becomes silent. The mind is subdued for a while. When the conscience is outside, rajas and tamas are active. When the consciousness comes back, sattva dominates and bliss becomes more prominent. So is there a way to not go outside of myself at all and yet be always content within myself? This is the Samvarga Vidya and it's called the absorbing technique of meditation. So how can I do that? The subject-object divide has to collapse. I am the subject. I want something which is the object. The world out there is an object. I need to get it. That collapse has to happen. Only then I can enjoy everything without going after anything. I should not regard anything as an object. How is that possible? Because that I can do that when I understand the nature of the Jagat. Common sense observation in daily life. What is it? When I look at you, you're an object to me. But I am forgetting that the person in front of me is also consciousness, isn't it? How often do I think of people around me as walking, talking consciousness? I don't. I'm the only conscious person. I'm looking at the world. Even people, I regard them as objects, which is a crime. Sachidananda Swarupa. Everyone is Sachidananda Swarupa. Ishavasya sarvam. Everything in the Taittiriya, it says, quote everything with Bhagavan. Sentient beings, Sachidananda. Insentient beings, Sat. They exist. Bhagavan is in them as Sat as existence. I also exist. They also exist. I am conscious. You're also conscious. So where is this subject-object separation here coming in, spoiling the play here? That artificial divide has to collapse. That's the whole understanding is that there is no divide between that and me. There's nothing outside of me, because consciousness is everything. Every object is also a self by itself. So thinking that things are located outwardly is a huge error. It's a fallacy. It's wrong. It's not happening. It's erroneous. So this Samvarga Vidya is to convert every object into a subject. How? By Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, you understand the scriptures, you contemplate on the teachings, and then you come to know that everything inside of me, I don't have to go anywhere, I'm Ananda Swarupi. So that is what is Samvarga Vidya is all about. Okay? Again, in the 13th chapter, Krishna says, everything is a kshetra. Everything, idam shariram kaunteya kshetra ityabhidhiyate. The sharira that you have, sharira as a metaphor for everything outside you, is a field of action. And the knower of the field of action is kshetrajna. And in all the fields of action, I am the kshetrajna. Krishna himself, there's only one knower in everything. And that is Krishna, that is me. So this is the Samvarga Vidya. Understand myself to be Gottaitappa. Our Prabhuji says, I know. That is my nature. Knowing everything is my nature. I know everything. I'm a witness of everything. That itself is when the witness Sakshi Bhava in me becomes more and more strong, I'm mastering the Samvarga Vidya. All absorbent meditation. I don't have to own anything. I just witness everything and I'm content. So this is the story of Jaanashruthi and Raikwa. Add a couple more stories, which is for another evening at Meditation and Study Circle. Thank you so much, Vaniji and Vasuji. So, yes, over to you.